Just, I've noticed that if I don't push record, we end up saying things that are wildly interesting. And
no, I was like, you know, you can't help but to look at yourself. I'm like, God, I'm so shiny. I had to go like wash my face. I was like, fuck.
I know.
I'm like sitting here like drying my face. You're like, well, I started the podcast. This would be a good intro.
Thankfully for just the listeners, they don't have to deal with all that. But these high resolution cameras, man, I've had to really take my exfoliation game to the next level.
Yeah, you know.
How's it going, man?
Which this is totally random and shouldn't even be part of this fucking intro. But I was talking to my wife because my wife owns a spa and she's an esthetician about
I figured
you
we talk
and your
about that at some
skin.
point. Yeah.
No, but we were
You're
talking
telling her
about
how
your
I was
skin.
using a black sock.
No, well, she brought up something that I wasn't actually thinking about. 'Cause you know, how we were like, oh, you know, I use a scrub or whatever, blah blah.
Yeah.
We're not like amazing, you know, but she was like, you know, he needs to change what he's using for the season. So as it gets colder and drier, he needs to be using something totally different. I was like, I bet he doesn't know that. So anyway,
Okay.
skincare guide
We're going to have to chat.
101. That's what UX Weekly is all about.
Hey, man.
Welcome.
The experience of what my face looks like if you're watching us on YouTube. That's important.
I mean, it's
Well, hey,
important
dude.
to me. I got to stare at it.
So we've got a couple of episodes under our belt. I've been feeling pretty good about it. The feedback that we got from episode number 1 was pretty much only good, which means that everyone's our friend and being nice.
Well, not. Oh, well, yeah. About the nice part, yes. But like, there's people that I don't know. Maybe
No,
you
that's
did
true.
know
No.
them,
You're right.
They were.
We've gotten good feedback.
So positive, and also like I don't know. Like I've got a bunch of people reaching out to me directly, not like commenting and stuff, and just being like, "That was fantastic." You know,
Beautiful.
like I'm glad you guys are doing this or whatever. Or like I took something away from it, which was the whole point of the whole thing.
That was, I think, the biggest thing when we got done. I think it was at least, you know, we were relatively entertaining, I think, to listen to. But it was like, all right, this is a UX podcast or a design podcast. Like, were there any nuggets? You know, right when we got done, I wasn't sure. But I actually, did you go back and listen to it? I did.
I did, and I don't think I'm going to do it anymore.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
you did. You hated your voice. That's right.
It's like, you know, it's like you look at yourself in the mirror, you think you look a certain way. You see yourself in photos, you look different. You like, you know, you hear yourself coming out of your head right now, but then like you hear it in a recording and you're like, who the hell is that? Like, I don't know.
You've never listened to yourself before? Like, I know.
No.
To me, I have a real nasally sound when I hear myself recorded. And obviously that's normal for everyone else to hear me that way, but when I hear it, I'm like,
I think you sound, well, for me, it was like, I'm overly critical. I'm just like staring at everything. And I'm like, oh, it looks like I like talk out of the side of my mouth. And like, and then it's like, it sounded to me like I was drunk. Like, you know, and you start slurring.
I thought you were,
like
actually.
words. Well, I mean, not maybe I was. Anyway, you know, it's like when you're drunk and you like slur, like your mouth doesn't quite open up when you're talking and you're like, yeah, like mumble. And like, and then all I heard was my dad talk, like as a kid, just being like, "Stop mumbling." What'd you say? And I was like, "Fuck, is this just how I talk? Like forever? Like no one is gonna understand what I'm saying."
You're like, I'm almost 40 years into my life. And
I just realized I have to open my mouth when I talk.
I don't know what it was. You actually were kind of doing that at the beginning. You were just like, yeah, you know, I don't know. You were so chill. I don't know.
Maybe I was just nervous. I don't know.
That's what it was. Okay, so we got done. Felt pretty good about it, even without going back and listening. Just that it was okay. It had a decent flow. And then I know you've been working with someone to get some intro art, and then we realized that it wasn't going to be here. So we recorded on Friday. Saturday, I think we both just took off, we just, did Saturday stuff. And then Sunday, it was like, we're going to launch this Monday, and we don't have any intro or anything. So I jumped my ass into Adobe Premiere that I haven't probably opened in, maybe 20 years, actually. I don't know, 15, 20 years. And even if I did, it was just, I don't know. I don't know how to use it. But got it relatively figured out. The hardest part was like finding, what I realized is we don't have a lot of pictures you and I sharing pictures, my pictures will have you in them, yours will have me in them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, where's all the pictures with both of us in there? So,
well,
I think it was okay.
I thought it was funny. One, I liked the intro. I thought it was interesting because, like, you even picked photos from like a long ass time ago. Where
Yeah.
I'm like, where was that again?
That
I
one
look super
of you,
drunk.
do you remember?
know? I don't, but
It was
don't
in
look
New
sober.
York when you were pitching like us.
When I was pitching Pepsi.
Yeah, that's right.
And I stopped off at like the conference that all you guys were at. And
Yeah,
it was
Brooklyn
like
Beta.
8 degrees outside.
Yeah, so we decided to walk.
At least it felt that way to me.
Yeah.
But not a single person. And like we deal with a lot of very OCD designer type, people. Not a single person realized that it still says Audio Jungle in the intro.
The funny thing is the one person that did mention it to me was Ben Hernandez, which is in that photo with you.
That makes sense.
Yeah. He was very, he sent me a text because he listened to the little intro thing we did, which had that weird text or that weird audio issue, which we just left up. He was like, please let me help you with audio. And I was like, wait, are you listening to the first episode and you think it's that bad? He's like, oh, wait, no, never mind. It's much better. But, yeah, he mentioned that. And we do have the license. We did have it even then. I was just rushing, and that was like the sample that we got. So anyway, won't have that stupid Audio Jungle background.
I dig it. I just leave it. I think we should leave it. I think it should be part of the intro.
It's only going to be on episode 1.
And then we're going to get sponsored by Audio Jungle. Like, it's going to be perfect, which I don't even think is the thing anymore. I think they're all in Vado, but anyway.
Oh, okay. Well, so we got that put together, got the episode put out, got a lot of feedback. We've been getting a ton of like followers. We've got some people, I guess you're right. Yeah. Some people that we really don't know that commented, and then, some good homies that commented. And anyway, feeling pretty good about it.
My dad watched it. He said we did really good.
Badass.
I'm sure he was like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about, but sound good.
It's like a normal day for him being around us when he's at your shindigs.
Yeah. He's like, they're just talking.
I did see him
gibberish,
like our stuff on Instagram and all that. Very appreciative.
Oh yeah, he knows how to share.
Yeah,
he knows what he needs to do on the Facebook. Except I had to yell at him yesterday. I was like, stop answering those questions when they ask you what your first car was, and like I was like, those are security questions, like for like trying to hack your accounts, like what's your mother's maiden name and what was she, it's like. That's what's like the trend on Facebook. I don't know if you see those. And they have thousands of comments where people are, because they'll word it so perfectly.
Oh my God.
It's like, it's great advertising. They'd be like, what was the first car you went 100 miles an hour in? Which obviously when you're
are these
a kid,
like
you
trolls
turn
trying to
16.
get this information?
Yes.
Oh
it's
my God.
Totally, like, and
My
like
mother
it'll have
is definitely
thousands of comments. Right? It's crazy.
Oh,
like it's so bad. It's kind of brilliant. Like if like it's totally a hacker move, but like it's done really well.
I've realized you don't have to try super hard the way that you write these things. Like, my mother, she'll get text messages that are like, hey, get this free thing that's sitting here waiting for you. Just click this link. She's like, hey, I gotta, she'll have me help her or whatever. I'm like, we're not doing this. This is going to get all your credit card information and your social.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, okay, so
do we have notes for this episode? Because I was trying to look and I didn't see it, so I just didn't want you to yell at me again and be like, "Why don't you look at the document that we put together about what we're going to?"
Yeah, we do, we do. So I'll send them to you right now while we're chatting, and then I'll get us going. So one of the pieces of feedback that we did get, some good constructive feedback, was that a lot of designers that are kind of earlier on in their career were like, hey, they actually gave us good feedback, the ones that I got. And I think you got one of these as well. You shared with me. It's like, this was really cool. Could you go a little deeper on like what we should be thinking about as young, young designers, young product designers, just starting our career? So I thought it'd be good for us just maybe to spend a little bit of time talking about some of those things. And maybe the first one is like, well, before I go, do you have any thoughts like right off the bat?
I have lots of thoughts, but
I know.
I want to hear what you were about to say though.
Well, So there might be somewhere to start before this, but basically I was just going to say, like, let's start with like the portfolio.
Okay. One is kind of interesting. Sorry, that was like a really long pause to like really get my thoughts together.
Very thoughtful.
But so here's what happened, just to give you an insight into my brain. I knew what I was going to say. I already like had a whole plan of like, oh, I'm going to say this about portfolios and this and that. But the second that like I heard you say portfolio, I had this like flashback to like when like you used to like actually carry around a portfolio and how I wanted that metal. I wanted that metal one that was like laser etched. It was like aluminum, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Yeah, I was like, and now it's like, what the fuck do you do with that? It's like sitting in the garage, you know?
Yeah,
I have mine.
I've still got one somewhere
over there somewhere. Anyway,
and you'd spend all that money getting printouts of everything, and then you'd like frame them.
Like you lived at Kinko's for no reason whatsoever.
Dude, I got a job at this place called Creative Type, just so we could utilize the service, just so we could like use it. So
really,
yeah, I got a job there. It was actually kind of cool. I mean, I learned some stuff. You know, we had like, you know, it was like all print. So, anyway, on the weekends, like me and John mostly would just come up there and print our stuff out. What was interesting as a youngster, when everybody was like printing out their stuff for their like school portfolios, is that people didn't know the settings, like RGB or CMYK or whatever, and everybody's stuff just looked like mud. And I think the trick was at the time, like I don't remember any of this shit now, but like with the printers actually using RGB, because you weren't doing like a 4-color process or whatever, it actually came out looking much better. And so like at the portfolio show, like our shit looked awesome. Everybody else was kind of shitty.
No, I remember the first project that I got. I know we totally went off on a tangent.
I know
about 4-color. Like I got I was taking like a fine art class like at Eastfield, and just like, you know, figure drawing or whatever. And the teacher was like, "Hey, can you design me, you know, this cover for the art show that we're gonna have?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "It's paid, everything." I was like, "Awesome." So I designed this really cool, crazy looking thing. She's like, "This is so badass." She's like, "But the printer said we need it in 4-color." And I was like, deer in the headlights. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Because I jumped straight to digital, to UI and everything else and like Flash and all that. I didn't do print. I skipped that part. So I didn't have any print formal education. I was like, how the hell do I do this? So I'm like calling people and asking, and they're like, "Oh, it's in your settings. You just change it." And I do that, and it was like, this looks like garbage now. Like, what did I just do? Anyway, it all worked out. It's just, I still probably don't know the right way to do print and things like that. It doesn't matter anymore. It's all digital now. Who cares? Anyway, about portfolios. A
little off topic there. Okay.
So that's that's how we roll. I was just having the conversation with somebody about this yesterday, and I was trying to like break it down where it's like tangible, right?
Okay.
And I think that a portfolio, everyone assumes that the portfolio is about the work.
Oh, we're going on the same page already, I think.
And I think that like if the work is like in your priority list of things, it's at the bottom. And this is what I mean. I think the whole point of your portfolio is, I don't know you. I want to land on this thing, and in 30 seconds, I want to feel like I know you, right? And so the very first thing is like, does your portfolio have personality? Did you do something that's like, I got these illustrations that you make, or it's this crazy color, or it's like bright ass yellow and use this crazy font? Can I dig into something that just hits me right in the face, right? Like, this person seems cool. They've got like comic-y, like illustration characters like all over the top of it. I wonder if that's what they do on the side and that's their hobby. Now I'm like interested and I want to dive in even more. And then it's like, people always like, everybody hates talking about themselves, right?
Right.
But there's something, so that about page where it's like a photo of you and like, I'm a designer, I make things. Like, that's probably what mine says. But when you're hiring, those words actually mean so much. But people think it's like, it's got to be so professional. I want it to not be professional. I want it to actually You know what I mean? Like if you're like, I'm a dad, I got this crazy son who breaks everything, I got this daughter who does all this, and I fucking love sandwiches.
Well,
boom, I like this person.
So
you know?
part of that is definitely like, do I think you're going to be fun, fun to work with? Like,
totally.
When you sound snobby, like we talked about last week, and I want to come back to that actually later, but you could come off as like, this person is just not going to be fun to work with at all. Actually, your site, if you go to Ray Hernandez, it's got a not actual photo of Ray Hernandez.
What is
the pug wearing a jean jacket?
Pug. Yeah.
I've not seen this before.
Yeah.
But so,
and I don't have any work because I don't even remember.
Well,
like,
you're at a different point in your career. Like this is probably
totally.
But what I was going to say, which actually was a slightly different path than you were taking, and I do completely agree with having personality and the things that kind of capture your interest being maybe more important than the work in terms of like when you said it, I was thinking like work in terms of like how cool the UI looks or whatever. Because that's a lot of times.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my alternate version of kind of what you said is really like having a story of what the actual work is with it. Because I mean, there was at least a time when people just put stuff up without even giving any context. You're like, yeah, it looks cool, but I have no idea. And so for me, and it may be because, being over, the head of design for like a consultancy might be a little bit different, but it's like, I need to know, I really need to know what your process is. And I know that's like apparently a hot take on Twitter or something. I've seen people, they're going to complain about whatever. But for me to get confidence, because what I don't want to do is like elongate this sort of like hiring period. Because I know your goal, if you're interviewing, is to get hired. And my goal is to hire somebody that I think has the ability to do the thing. And we're going to find out together. But if you can tell me, like, you're showing me this work and it has to obviously look okay. There's like, if it looks like crap, then we're moving on to the next one. If it looks amazing or okay, we're almost in the same camp. Now tell me, like, how did you approach it? Which allows me to see, like, if you understand or like what you did and if it's going to align with how I and my team work. So it's like, for us, it's like we do a lot more upfront research. I know your team works a little bit differently, but if I can see that you at least somewhat are in alignment with like, or understand a process that would align with how we do it, like that's going to make life much easier for both of us, like in terms of like hitting the ground running.
See, and this is what's interesting and why it's so hard for people, because I'm completely different. I actually get annoyed when you have your whole process and your whole thing.
Well, tell me this,
but hold on, but this is why.
Okay.
This is why I don't want that. To me, that's what I want to get. If I'm interested enough that and that's all you really are going for with your portfolio, is just a hook for me. Mm-hmm. And if I'm hooked enough that I actually want to interview you, that's in the interview is when I want you to talk me through your process and all the things you do and all of that. What I'm looking for in a portfolio is structured work that, like, that there are rules in place when you're designing an app, mm-hmm. or you're designing a website or you're designing whatever. And you didn't like just, when you first get started, you're like, there's no rules. I'm a designer. I'll make whatever I want. And that's not true. And the fact that if you know that or not is awesome. The piece of the story that I actually would love that I don't feel like anybody ever does is it's like client one, they wanted to improve X. This design improved X by 5X. Like, show me what the problem was and what the solution ended up being, not just the picture and the title.
No, I love that. And actually, that would be fine. Like, instead of having the process, the outcomes actually prefer that. If you tell me the outcomes, then yeah, you're right. I'm going to say like, dude, that was pretty awesome. Like, how did you achieve that? Or how did you even go about this? Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think what I was more so comparing what I would see a typical portfolio that lacks what I need to move forward would be either nothing at all to go with pictures, or just like a kind of generic high level blurb of what the project was. But if you give me outcomes, I'm super excited. But if you're not giving me outcomes, then I at least need to understand there's some process that you thought about.
For
there's just too many.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I feel like there's also just when you take the other approach, there ends up being too much for me. I am a goldfish. You have about
you mean with the approach
15 seconds. Yeah, like if you show me, here's some pictures, here's some blurbs, here's some wireframes. Then I went from this to the research. Then after the research, I went and I did this. And I'm like, that's awesome. But I just really just want to see what the outcome was right now. And we'll talk about the process. Like when we talk about it, I just need you to hook me a little bit. And but this is where it's like, it's so hard, I think, for young people, because you may want something completely different than what I want, but we're both at the same level hiring the same people that do the exact same thing. And there is no standard, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I put the emphasis on that very first thing is it's less about the work and more about the personality. If you can show me some personality that you have, I will instantly know if you're going to vibe with the personality of me and my team.
Okay.
And
so here's
from
what
there,
I think.
if the work's in the good in the middle, then we like, bam, this is probably going to work out.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I didn't really think about how we may have opinions that would, like, basically what we're saying is kind of like almost not drastically different directions, but like that could be confusing. So I think there's like a magic part of this where it's like, I think you're right. Do put your personality in there. I think taking little bits and pieces from everything we just said, I do think that there's probably a level of process that you can show that doesn't lose somebody, or just showing that you have a process period. Like maybe you don't have to do like a case study of each step of the process, because I understand what you're saying when it's like, okay, that's a little too much. But I think what's the most important thing, and I wish I would have said it, was showing the improvements or the outcomes, like what you achieved, not just from like how it looked, but really like from a business standpoint, which leads me to, sorry, I'm going on here, but this is one thing I think is really important, which is it's the output, but like what's the business value that you created? Why did this person pay for design? And I think as a young designer, I don't think that I thought about that a lot. And I know that like a lot of young designers just want to make badass shit, but it's like, okay, there's making badass shit. It looks good, feels good. There's probably going to be some level of business value, but if you're not directly tying it to anything from a business standpoint, you don't know what your success metrics are. And so understanding that every job is the whole reason somebody's giving you money is because they want to make more money, which, you know, if things go well, they'll probably give you more money so that they can make more money, right?
So I'm sorry, were you done?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want to cut you off. Like that was like you
normally
had
do.
you had a good thing going. Now I feel like I just ruined it.
Well,
Like,
just to wrap up
I'm
that
sorry.
thought, just maybe I was too rambly. It's like showing the business value that you added from the work that you did in some capacity, which the way you were talking about it is like, what's the outcome? And I guess just to kind of clarify, it's like, what's the business outcome that you created? What value did that person get from paying you to do this work for them?
So I want to be extremely tangible and helpful for people that are in this situation and hearing our contradictory stories about here's what the hiring director is going to want from things, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's what I think that we could agree on, right? I think if your site says something about you, has some personality, tell me a little bit, even if it's color, if it's pattern, if it's whatever, give me some personality, right? 2, don't put 8,000 pieces of projects. Put the top 5 things that you like and actually give it some context when you write the words. I know writing the words sucks. We're not copywriters and it sucks and I hated doing it, but it's the thing when you see a picture, you read a headline. Then if you're really interested, you read the rest of it. Like, it's important. So actually spend some time, give some context of what the project is, and like the cream in your pants moment is just like, yes, like you give me an outcome that said you actually did a really good job and like you had this whole thing and there was an outcome. The third piece that I would say is like, that is just like over the top amazing. Cause I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were asking, like, thinking they should add like some passion projects or like some other kind of stuff. And this is what I'm interested in. Any of that stuff to me doesn't matter. What matters is if you put something on your portfolio that was your idea that you actually launched, that tells me that you know how to build a product from ideation to design to development to launch. And that is the most important thing to me. If your portfolio work was like okay, but you have like enough that I feel like we could build on, but you know the whole process of building a product, I feel like you're ahead of the game.
Oh man, definitely.
We can work on the visuals.
Like I wouldn't even expect that much. If I saw that though,
this is the cream in your pants moment.
Yeah,
if
true.
They could do anything, and that could be minor. Like it doesn't have to be you built this giant thing that makes $15,000 a month. Like you just took an idea and you made it.
What it also shows is just like a spirit of entrepreneurialism, which I think you and I geek out about because it's like, yeah, be an entrepreneur. Come be an entrepreneur here. Let's like do stuff. But it's kind of just like doing stuff, right?
But it's, to me, it's still a little less entrepreneur and more like, I know, well, sorry, this monitor keeps going off. But like, even when you're in a team environment, I know that I work with this team potentially on the ideation piece of it. And then I'm going to work with the development team on this part. And I'm going to work with the marketing team on the launch of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, it segments out product building to where they at least already have an idea of how to build things. And like that, I don't think a school on the planet or even like all these courses or anything teach that. And like, I wish that was like, literally that could be like a whole course.
Yeah.
Make your product. It doesn't matter what it is.
I would imagine it has to be out there, but I think you're right. I don't think it's like super common. But hey,
I think they go too deep. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
No, that's really good. So one of the things I thought we might also talk about, are you good if I transition?
You do you, boo.
All right, brother. So the design aspect of this. So there's the people that go into these like UX boot camps and really focus on like the interaction and the experience, and like people are starting to, there's like, now there's more education around doing design research. Like we talked with Shara on the previous episode about the boot camp she took, which had like the upfront research and then the user testing, and she had already kind of had that like experience as a visual designer. In order to take some of those, some of those, what I've seen is that once somebody shows you how to do the research, you can pretty quickly like go like, okay, I need to ask questions. I need to create a template and I need to ask these questions. And there's certain ways, and then just experience makes you better. The same thing with the like feedback, user interviews, user testing types of things. You're really just doing a thing and you're getting data from the results of the test that you did. In that case, I think that the part that some people have to overcome is the visual design part of it. And one of the things I've always thought was the easiest trick. Now I do believe I believe you can teach design pretty quickly. I've been around some people that were like, oh, you either have it or you don't. And I get it. There's like a level, which is an art that, yeah, if you don't have it, you may never have it. But I think when you're building product design, it's typically, and I've said this for a while, and we'll see, I'd love to see what you think. I think there's three primary components to keep in mind when you're building an interface. And that's like hierarchy. So the hierarchy of information. There is padding and spacing. I'm going to put both of those together. So how much, room you give between, the side of the screen or between your, different sections. And then there's just simplifying to all hell. Like, so you'll see a lot of times designers, this isn't even just like young designers, but you'll see people put like 1 pixel borders around content. And then the whole page just has these like little squares of stuff. I'm like, well, if you design it with the hierarchy appropriately and spacing is, taken into consideration, you probably don't need those lines. And as soon as you take away those lines, then you're getting, it becomes much cleaner. The other thing with simplicity is not using too many fonts, like 1 or 2, and then the same with colors, right? So, and we're just talking about like product, like, like now I'm blanking, but like products on your phone that you would like, not necessarily, I guess the opposite of what I'm getting at would be like a marketing website where it just needs to be splashy and badass. You're talking about utilitarian type products.
Yeah, I would add two more pieces to it because
Okay.
I agree with all the things, but I think and this is even back to the portfolio and kind of like what I constantly yell in every meeting is like, why? I think that everything should start with a goal. If you're making an app, you're making a page, you're making whatever, what is this supposed to do? What is the point? Why are we wasting our time?
Why is it even here?
Thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's like a big problem that happens a lot is that's an afterthought, where it's like, if I would have done this differently, if I knew the goal was to get them to click that button versus read the content, what I mean? Or something like that. I'm just making up something.
Yeah. No, I got you.
So that,
I think I think that works well with the simplicity part as well, where you start adding shit and you're like, why is that even there?
Yeah.
Like we could do this without that. Actually it'd be even better because we're not cluttering everything up.
Totally. The only other piece on your specifics that I would add is alignment, because I'm an alignment Nazi.
That's part of it. What did I swap out? I don't know. Alignment is
spacing.
absolutely.
I think you threw in the spacing and all that. I think
that's 100%.
You had it all in there. But yeah, I think something physically wrong with me where like I'll see something and like you can see it in
one
my
pixel
eye.
off.
And it literally like does this thing where it's like I can't stop. I just focuses on it and I can't look away from it. It's like so weird. And like my design team will be like, what is wrong with you? It's aligned. I was like, zoom in. It's off. Like it's off. And they'll be like, God damn it, it's off by 1 pixel. Like little stuff like that. And it's like, I can't help it, but it's like, so I notice it.
I don't know if this is like scientifically factual, but I believe it. Like, I think subconsciously most people can see those things, whether they can point it out or not, like you could. But I think subconsciously it throws people off. So if you have weird alignment or whatever, it just doesn't flow as well. I don't know. I mean, you've just seen those sites where I know you and I do this for a living, but you still like, you'll see things where it just doesn't flow well and it's almost the same, but it's just like the little, like very minor little, like whether it's like unequal spacing or just a shift in alignment. And you're like, ugh. It really like
I forget what it's called, but you're right. It's a brain thing. You know how like you're thinking about buying a car or you buy a new car and you've never seen it ever, and then you buy it and then you just see it everywhere. Yeah, it's because your brain is taught, or like it's got a switch where it's like this is important information or this isn't important information. Right. And I think for us being just in what we do, our brain is on things like spacing and alignment and just like eye flow and like, like pieces of the puzzle, contrast even, and those are important things in our brain where when you're just getting started, that switch isn't on yet. Right. Yeah. And so you kind of just like, it's whatever. It's looking good. I like it. Whatever. You're like, no, that is driving me crazy. Like, why is that not aligned? A peeve of what I used to see. I think all the apps have like kind of overcome this issue, but like you would do like a rectangle and it would have like a rounded corner, and then somebody with no experience would grab the edge and just pull it out and it would skew that rounded corner. And you would see people like have stuff like that in their portfolio. You're just like, no, it's not gonna work. Totally random. And this is like on topic, but it's totally different. But like I've had this idea for a long time, and I think that maybe we should just do it, right? I feel like every designer on the planet hates designing their own portfolio. Oh, yeah. Right? Like everyone is overly critical about themselves. Everyone's overcritical about their work. What do I write here? Blah, 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 blah. I think there should be an agency or a service that its entire job, and it's just, there's a bunch of designers that are actually really good, and it's for designers. And you just go, here's my domain name, here's my name, here's my LinkedIn, here's a little bit about me. And here's a link to all of my work in Dropbox. And you could like pick, like almost like picking a tattoo artist. You're like, I like your style. Please make me a portfolio. And literally like that's it. Like there's not a lot of back and forth like an agency. There's not a lot of anything. Mm-hmm. You're just like, I just don't want to think about this. And I want something really good. Right. And if that person needs something, they just ask you, hey, did this project that you did it do well? Was there, a good outcome from it? Did you make more money? Was there like a whatever? And like they can put that in there. And like you come up with the formula, like a template, right? And you just have like, pick your style. Bam. StevenRay is going to design your portfolio. He'll be in contact if he has any questions. Thank you. It'll be done in whatever, 15 days. And you're like, oh, that was the best X amount of money I've ever spent in my whole life. You know what I mean? Like even putting up the stupid dog, I forgot about that. Even putting up that dog picture, I was like, people are going to be so confused. I'm not a dog. Like maybe I can make that part of it. Like what? That's not even my dog. Like I even with something stupid of not putting work up, I overthought it to like the nth degree. And so it's like, I think that would be so helpful for young people to be like, that style's really cool. I want my portfolio to look like that, or even in that vein. And that way it's still custom.
Right. I was just about to say that. Like, then it's like this custom site that's not another, Squarespace template, which, hey, if that's what you're going to do, that's fine too. But I love your idea.
That was actually my next question that I had for you is, what are your thoughts on a designer who's supposed to be creative? And at least that's how how we all feel. And like we talked about it in the last episode too, even doing presentations and stuff, you always feel like you got to like overdo it and do it crazier than everybody else did. How do you feel about designers that kind of just throw their stuff into like Behance or Dribble or whatever and just be like, here, you look at it. Like, it was like,
well, the way that you just said it is
hold
very
on. No,
like...
I know. I said it real shitty, but that's the reason. The whole point of the question wasn't for that to sound shitty. It was more like, I think that young designers, at least what I've been told from young designers that like I've worked with and I'm talking to, they almost feel ashamed that I'm sorry, I just threw it into Behance. I was trying to work on my portfolio, couldn't put it all together, so I just threw it up here. And it feels like they're like, I'm sorry, it was an afterthought. When I don't think that we look at it that way. We don't care
anymore, for sure. I mean, I remember a time when every designer thought they had to like hand code their own site. And I think we both probably have at one point. And what a pain in the ass and waste of time unless you're trying to become a front end developer, as well. Yep. There used to be a little bit more of an overlap until front end development, turned into like a, such a dev heavy kind of role. But no, I don't care at all anymore. Like, I'd rather you not. I think if you did, it's interesting because maybe you're able to do something cool. But if I was to give advice, I'd say don't waste your time, dude. Like, there's plenty of stuff out there that's good enough. And what I'm looking at is your work and not your web design. Unless you have like web designs on your portfolio and you're also saying like, hey, I'm not a front end developer, but I've worked on some of these projects with other people or whatever. Yeah.
I agree with you, but I want to add one piece, that just like for anyone that's listening that is dealing with that in their head. The only downside that I see anyway, maybe you have another one, of putting your stuff like just on Dribble or Behance or whatever, is you're almost like putting yourself in the mix with your competition.
Okay, yeah, what you're saying. Well, okay, I kind of went the Squarespace route, but like Dribble and Behance, yeah, I'm not like. Well, for one, if that's what you want to do, great. I think your point is good though, because you're giving me, especially you, as like the goldfish. You may end up on one person's and immediately like go, oh, I'm on Dribble now, and end up somewhere else. I would at least consolidate it to your own. I do think that you need to have your own online presence, and I think you need to have your own space, like your own website, So, yeah, I do agree. I think putting it on Behance and I don't know what Behance's looks like now. I think you can kind of have your own space or something. Not really sure.
None of them look bad. It's not even about that to me. It's about when you're trying to stand out as an individual, the last thing to me you want to do is put yourself right next to a bunch of other individuals doing the exact same thing.
Well, ideally, that's not how you would present it. You would like send me to your like Behance portfolio page or your Dribble. I think they probably have it too.
But again, I'm a goldfish and I'm just going to click around and be like, oh, I haven't been on Behance in a while. Let me see what else they have going on.
I think that's definitely worth considering. I would like, I guess I would definitely agree. Like, I think you should have your own site at least,
Even even if it's just a free Squarespace, WordPress,
Totally.
whatever, and that's the whole point. It's like, you don't need to overdo it. It doesn't need to be the thing that we all think we need, which is like this overly amazing award-winning design because we're designers and we have to like one up everybody. It's just a place that's your own, that tells your story, shows your personality, and shows your work.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's easy ways to do it. Anyway,
I agree.
You want to tell me to shut up. Go.
What do you think about, I want you to start this one. What do you think about resumes?
Ooh. See, this is, it's, I literally, before we started recording, I was on a call with one of my newest designer that we just hired. And I was telling her about this other idea that I've had for a while now. And you remember I told you my whole thing? It's like, I put it on the board. Right?
I know what you're talking about.
You
had like a creative name. I remember. I think.
Oh, fuck.
Go ahead.
You probably went and bought a domain name for it, and I didn't even know. Anyway, so my whole thing was like, I feel like resumes, I feel like references, I feel like all these things are just fucking bullshit. Like, everyone just like, it's fluff. Right? It's just like, I'm going to put the best thing. It's like Instagram and Facebook, right? You don't put the fucking shitty hungover photos of you up. You put like look at me looking amazing, right? Same thing with your resume and all that kind of stuff. But what I wish existed was, how did you get here? Resume. Like a resume of your life,
journey.
Like yeah, but like more about, not like I worked here. More like
life experience.
And this is like, well, no, and this is what I told her. I was like, she's like, yeah, but how would you ask that? And I was like, oh, it came to me. I was like, what's the craziest, weirdest, like out of the box, random way that you made money? And like, I feel like the answer to that question can define like your process and like all the things you did, right? So like, for example, my story, right? Like, I can go way back or I can go in the middle. My first time I ever made money, and I didn't realize this, was in the 4th grade. Remember like when Nintendo like was like the big thing, and you could buy a book that showed you all the secret areas of the levels of like Super Mario Brothers? I would draw custom ones of those for kids in my class for $5, right? Nice. And so like, that's the first time. It wasn't weird. Then moving on, like, this will be like overly creepy. I learned about like, this is like years down, not from elementary school, but like I learned about affiliate marketing, you know, like right out of high school, and like all when like MySpace and everything was going on. And so like, I realized that this is when Flash was going on. So MySpace would let you, for the kids, MySpace was like Facebook before Facebook, but you could customize your profile and do all kinds of stuff and change all the CSS and do everything. But they didn't allow JavaScript because they didn't want pop-ups and stuff all over the place, right? Well, Friend Finder, Adult Friend Finder, all these dating sites at the time were paying $1 per click, right, for anyone that you could send to their service because they think they could convert them into a member. I was like, well, shit, if I sign up for an affiliate, that's literally like $50 a person. Like, I could get traffic going. All traffic needs is like pretty people, a little story, you know, like all that kind of stuff. I was like, I can do that. So literally, I remember me and my friends in New York, we were like living at our friend Guav's place all together, 4 of us in like a little tiny place, writing profiles on MySpace for different accounts, putting all over the United States. And then all I had to do was put this little flash file that would like a little dancing bear or something. And inside that flash file was a pop under for one of those sites of my affiliates. Dude, I was making like $1,500 a month. And like, that was the first time that I felt like I made like real money. Yeah. And I was doing like nothing because I was like a kid, you know, like I was just like, all right, I got it. So you attract them, you know, to the thing. You have some kind of marketing or service or sponsor or advertiser to get them around it. They're willing to pay just to get the eyeballs. You know what I mean? And then like, now that's part of the process of like building things. I'm like, all right, I have this cool idea. And I don't just stop there. I go, okay, but how do I get eyeballs to it? How am I going to get them to convert to a thing that actually turns into money? You know what I mean? Like it changes your thought process. Yeah. Which as a designer.
Wait, did you say you were in high school? No, you're out of high school.
No, I was 21 because all that money, that $1,500 a month, went straight to the bar. And like I literally drank it all away. So yeah.
Way to what an uplifting ending to that story.
Yeah. You're welcome. Don't do what I did, kids.
Well,
sorry, I don't even know if that went anyway.
I had to think a minute of what we were talking about. Resumes.
The idea was I really wish resumes were more transparent and told more about a person.
I like that idea.
Not just where you worked and where you went to school.
I like that idea. I just don't think everyone lives the wild, adventurous life that you live. But
I think there are questions that you could ask somebody to pull out their personality the same way you do in an interview to get someone to let me tell you a story about this whatever.
Yeah, you're talking about you as a service, right? I like that idea.
But I think it's what if your resume was these 3 questions, right? And I don't know what those questions are. I'm just making that up. What's the craziest way you've ever made money? I
love this.
If you could live anywhere, where would you live? Mm-hmm. And what's your shoe size? I don't know, something random,
yeah.
And now it's or what's your favorite drink or whatever,
right.
And now it's I don't really care that you worked from here to here, from year 1 to year 2, and you went to school from here to here. The point of a resume is supposed to be yes, there was some pedigree. Yes, you have some experience, but I already know that. This is almost a way to I guess this is what a blog was, and a way to tell your story, but in a very tiny confined version that is consumable.
Yeah. Well, so my thoughts on it, now that you're talking about it, different levels of experience, I think it matters maybe a little bit more the more experience or the higher up you're coming. I do want to see who you've done things with, because I want to utilize certain talents that I know that, get demonstrated at a place like this. Do you have consulting experience, or did you work for a product company? Have you launched products, that type of thing? If I'm thinking about, we kind of started this with designers just kind of early in their career. I honestly really don't care at all. I don't care where you went to school or if you went to school, which we talked about before. The resume, I actually haven't had a resume since my very first job out of school, because, I kind of always made that next, relationship or introduction by typically doing work or people seeing work or knowing of, the work that I was able to do. And I kind of feel the same way. Show me some stuff, really, that portfolio we had started this episode with, if that's good, I seriously don't care anything about your resume, but I know that it's a part of the normal get a job process. So I thought it was worth talking about. And I imagine that there are probably a lot of spots where it's that's kind of the intro to getting your toe in the door, is maybe with a resume.
So, but even with that and more, I don't want to make this about well, here's what I did, it's the right way, because it's totally not. But I think there's a bigger story here. When I used to know that the only way I was going to get involved, because this is before LinkedIn and before all these places where even you could stalk people and get in contact with them, I would spend probably more time on my resume than I did on my portfolio, but not the words. I would design the craziest fucking resume that would be hot pink everywhere and have spray splatters and crazy fonts and all this stuff, but in a really nice, clean way. So that, and my thinking was, okay, they're going to get 1,000 resumes. How do I make my one piece of paper in the stack of all of them stand out?
Well,
right.
I think you're giving interesting but dangerous advice, because I've definitely seen wildly cool looking resumes with zero substance to them, which is, a huge disappointment too, because you're well, that looks
but you
so
also
cool,
see the complete opposite most of the time, which is the most generic template resume that everybody else on the planet is using.
Here's what I think. I'm more okay with a generic template resume if it's short, to the point, and it's almost like you were talking about earlier, show some character in it, and I don't know how you do that. I can't say that I've necessarily seen a bunch like that, but if you got something and it's yeah, hey, I worked here, worked late and cried a lot, but I learned this.
No, here's an example of one of the ones I did because I remember it very, very. And I think it's how I got the job at Match.com. My whole header and even like a little border around it had like Homer Simpson pink donuts, like in all different sizes, like a pattern.
I mean, I'm
like
a fan.
all around it. One, I was thinking, who doesn't love donuts? It's pink. I know that like bright colors attract your eyes, so I'm going to stand out from there. And then I picked like a big chunky fat font, not like Arial, like something that like for all my headings of my name and everything like that. So it was like, you don't have to go over the top and like, sprinkles everywhere. You just have to be like, this guy loves donuts, like what's going on with this guy?
I can,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. Oh, but there was something I wanted to say, like for that, like that was tying back in something. It was so good. Now I don't remember what it was. What were we talking about?
Well, you lost it. So we've got, maybe it'll come back up, but we've got we're at 50 minutes. What do you think a last good topic we could end this sort of, this episode where we're trying to give some, advice?
Okay, so here's, I want to ask you, and then I feel like I give my opinion all the time on if you were whatever age you are when you get out of college, I don't know what that is.
We'll say 20-ish, 21, 20,
20-ish, and you are trying to get a job. Let's be tangible. Like, what would you do? Like what assets do you need? What would you do with your portfolio, your resume? What would you do right now?
Okay. I'll tell you one thing for sure. Start getting no matter what, do not try to perfect your shit first. Now save the good ones, save the spot where you really want to work until you have an opportunity to feel good about your, resume and portfolio, but just start getting interviews and start understanding what that process is like, because you're going to start to perfect your game. Really. It's like the first time, I can only imagine. I mean, I know, I don't even really remember, but I know I was nervous. And those types of things, you get less and less nervous when you start to realize some of the patterns, well, first of all these people, they want to hire me. They just want to check and see if I'm good enough. That's good, knowing that they're not just there to crucify your portfolio. Then kind of seeing which ones, the pieces that this is that user testing, almost like user testing. It's okay, this is one of my favorite portfolio pieces, but nobody seems to give a shit. Everybody's really interested in that. Maybe that's because it aligns with their business, or it's just, popular, or it's a common topic or whatever. Point of all this is get the repetition of getting interviews, even at places. I mean, I think it's even I think it's important to get interviews at places you don't want to work at, because you have to be willing to it's like a throwaway interview. It's you need to be able to try some stuff. So
or it's like a diamond in the rough on accident.
Well, that's possible too.
This place was cooler than I thought it was going to be. You guys seem awesome.
And that would be cool. That would be cool. But the point of it is that you wouldn't. Don't let that be the expectation that you're going out there to every place that will possibly interview you to find that. Go there. Maybe that would be awesome if that happens, but go into it going this is to get in my repetition and kind of earn this, so that when you get to that spot, when you're really ready in your portfolio, actually you've gotten some feedback and you feel good about it, then go all in on the right spot.
The piece I'd add to that is, and we talked about this a little bit with Shara, is don't let there be roadblocks. There's no such thing as a roadblock anymore, right? You can find anybody online and be like, oh, this form didn't have a place for me to put my portfolio link. Then put it on Dropbox and literally put it in the text box that they give you. Or if for your name, say my portfolio is Brad.com, whatever. There's creative ways.
Yeah, nothing comes out of trying hard.
Yeah.
Nothing bad. I'm sorry. Nothing bad comes out of trying hard.
I mean, I just feel like if you want it, you can get it. And you can't say that about everything. You're I'm not going to play in the NBA. I'm not going to get that, that kind of thing. But the thing that you have skill in and you feel proud about, if you want to get a job in it, you can do it. It's just how hard are you willing to work to get it? And honestly, I don't think it's that hard to do that work, because once you actually get the job, you're going to fucking work. You're going to have to do the shit. So it's like, might as well put in some effort now, you know, to actually get the thing that you want. That's going to change your life pretty much, you know?
Yeah. Well, one other thing I would add is, this is part of the reason I think you need to get in the repetitions, just because you need to learn how to like communicate well. The quicker you can communicate well, the quicker that somebody is going to want to put you, I mean, in the position. I mean, look, you could come in with the same portfolio, and I would potentially put you at a lower level based on your communication skills. I mean, not potentially, definitely. Like, that's a huge factor. As a designer, we have to be able to like communicate and articulate the decisions that we made when creating a design. And if you can't communicate well now, that means that I know that I'm going to have to present your work, you know, or your art director or something, which is work for me. So the sooner that I know that you can do a decent job, or you can start to, you know, you can begin that process of presenting your work to clients. I mean, that's like, you're going to go to the top of the stack even if you're going up against like better visual designers that, you know, can't really talk when they get in front of people.
I would add to that though, because I think that's going to scare a lot of people. I think that is the thing that everyone has a fear of, right? Like the whole presentation things. But this was,
and you're right. I don't want you to not move forward, but what I want you to do is know that it's a thing that, like, whether or not it stops you from getting that first job, you're going to plateau. Like, you will plateau sooner than you want if you don't learn how. And it doesn't have to be hard either. Like, it's not like public speaking necessarily, but you do have to learn how to explain the decisions, the why, like you talked about earlier. Well, why did I do this? Well, let me tell you why. I did it because whatever. Yeah.
Well, so what I was going to say is, I think if you know that's where you lack right now, then what you can do, because I feel like I was in this boat. Like, I feel like I've always been very nervous, and like it's something like I feel like it probably
same
till recently. Like, I feel more confident in things. But what I would do is, what's it called? Like overcompensate on the other side. Like, if you feel like, or you know, and we're telling you that is an important factor in working in design and doing this, is presenting your work. But you know it's not your thing yet. It's something you know you have to work on. Mm-hmm. Then go all in on the other side. Like, make those visuals fucking amazing, and be like, how'd you do that? Like, make us want to ask questions, being like, oh, that was really sweet, or like animate it, like make it, you know what I mean? Like, go the extra level on the part that you feel like you are confident in, and know. And even, dude, you know what would be awesome? If in an interview, somebody was like, hey, and maybe this is confident and you're too confident, like, but it would be awesome if you'd be like, hey, I know one of my things that I need to work on is the communication, the presentation, and I am aware of it, and I am working to get better at it. I'd love any, you know, ideas or help or videos or courses or books that you could recommend to me that would help, that have helped you. You know what I mean? Like, own it that you suck at it, you know? And like, now I know, it's like, at least I know, you know, I don't, cause it's like, it sucks.
It's kind of an icebreaker too.
Well, it is, but it's like, it sucks in our job to where we like, cause we don't want to shit on people. It's like, we don't want to just do critiques and be like, that's not good. This isn't good. I wish you did this, blah, blah, blah. But that ends up becoming a lot of like what the job can be. And then it's like, then we end it with like, but here's how we can fix it. Where it's like, there's an awareness piece to that, right? Where if they're just like, look, I know, then I don't need to bring it up. Let's just work on getting it better. Okay. You know what I mean?
So I love that. I think you're totally right. One thing to be careful about when you do have the awareness is don't go into every situation going, I know this isn't that good. Like, definitely you need to find, because that can be really annoying too, where it's like, okay, you've already told me it's not very good. 100%. So great. I would say
that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah. It is annoying.
Of starting with
so
negative.
I think you have to find a way to be confident, but also say, like, if you know, like you said, like, I guess that's the thing. If you know you're really good in one spot and you're lacking in one spot, be confident to say, hey, one area I still have to improve and I'm aware is my communication skills. But ask me anything and whatever. Even though I probably said that like somebody that would communicate well, I don't know.
That's what I was saying. Like, maybe it's a confidence thing to even be able to say that. But I know we're like running late, but like I have a story that I kind of want to tell that I think is totally. So, you know how like you have those interviews that you've had that just like you as like a person trying to get a job that just went so horribly wrong and they just replay in your head over and over again. So it's right on topic with exactly what we're just saying, right? Like I was interviewing at Google. This was like my second or third time, you know, because like interviewing there, they fly me out to Mountain View, and I take the typical designer approach of like, got to come up with something different, something that's, you know, like I know I can design the stuff. Like I'm good at that part. I was like, but this presentation is like 5 hours long. I meet with like 30 people, and like I was got to like have like a theme to my interview, and so I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I don't have all the the requirements of what this job is. Like you have to have a bachelor's or master's and have all this stuff and this many years. And like, I have experience, but I didn't have all this stuff. Right. Yeah. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to use that. And so the title slide of my presentation was Ray Hernandez sucks. And like, I was like, and the whole point of the presentation was Ray Hernandez sucks. I didn't go to art school. I didn't go to, I didn't do this. I haven't had the normal career path, but this is what I have done with what I have. Right. And so it was going to be this whole, like, that was the story, right? It was like, I suck, but really, like, I've really overcome all this thing.
But not really.
And dude, deer in headlights, every person in this presentation from slide 1, no laugh, no like, what the fuck, no anything, just like dead, no emotion, staring at me and me like, you know, like, and this went on for 5 hours.
Ouch.
Like,
oh my God.
Like it was the worst experience ever where like I just could not recover from the intro to my presentation. And so the point of that is like, we have all fucking shit the bed. We have all had these horrible experiences. But even like right now talking to you, I know from that failure, I'm not going to do that again. The next one I did, I probably fucking killed it because I was like, I don't care what's happening in this next presentation or interview. I'm going to fucking kill it. And I'm not doing that. Yeah. Right. And also it was like, you don't have to be different, which we talked about at the very beginning. Like I tried to be so different when I think I'd probably be working at Google right now if I was just like, hi, I'm Ray Hernandez, designer, you know, like, so thank God this is my portfolio. Well, no, totally. It all worked. I mean, everything happens for a reason. It all worked out. But like, I would have gotten that job if I just took the basic, normal, stop trying to overdo it approach. Yeah. Anyway.
I love it, dude. I think that's hilarious. Just blank faces.
I'm gonna get a shirt. I'm gonna get a shirt that just says Ray Hernandez sucks, just so I never forget it.
One of my team members previously, he bought the domain Phil's UX. So it's Phil sucks. It's pretty funny, and he uses it as his portfolio. I like it. I like that he stuck with it.
I like that. I hate StevenRay.com.
Ben Hernandez got one that's Ben hates, and it's like benhat.es. So unprofessional, right? It's benhat.es. So it's Ben hates. Yeah, but he told me everyone thinks that people are like, "Hey, so do you like hats, or you have a hat or something?" He's like, "No, read the whole thing." Anyway, all right, man. Well, hey, this was it's our second episode between the two of us. It's our third episode, but just talking about stuff. I think hopefully, based on the feedback we got on the first one, hopefully this was some interesting information for some of the folks listening.
I know. Like, this one obviously was a little more tangent and a lot, but I hope there was a lot of context in it, because I mean, this is like truly the root of like what our careers are right now. Like, we spend a lot of time hiring and a lot of time managing people that are coming up. And I hope that this is extremely important information that someone can like take away something good, and actually, like, if they're trying to get that job, like, get that job, you know? And also too, it's like, I will throw it out there. Like, I don't know if I'm speaking for you, so sorry.
I think
like,
you're about to
work for you, but like, reach out to us if you need something. You're like, hey, I don't know what to do for this. Fucking write us. Like, I don't mind. Like, sometimes I might not instantly get back to you, but like, I'll totally help somebody try to get a job somewhere, you know?
Same. Yeah. We've both done some legit mentoring, and, you know, if you're down to hustle, you show some promise, like, we'll make time, 'cause that's always rewarding. It's rewarding to see somebody that you're helping, like, slay it.
On top of that too, a lot of our friends and colleagues like are all hiring people.
Yep.
Right. So we kind of have a network of people that are looking for designers on all levels. So, you know, it's like, if y'all need people, let us know. We'll hook you up.
Yep. Well, hey man, I think we had a good episode. Hey everyone, thanks again for continuing to listen. Drop us some comments in here. You know, ask some questions, talk some shit, whatever makes you feel good. Like Ray said, feel free to DM us as well if you want to get in touch. We're happy to engage. So until next time, I think our next episode will be after Christmas. So everyone, have a great Christmas holiday, or a great holiday whether you celebrate Christmas or not. Take some time off, hopefully, and see you in the new year, unless we have a special episode between then. Who knows?
We'll wear Santa outfits.
Perfect. All the listeners will appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Later.
Deuces.